But we begin with good news ahead of the president's important trip to the Middle East. And take a look.
We're going to, as you know, the Middle East, Saudi Arabia. We're going to UAE and Qatar. And that'll be, I guess, Monday night. Some of you are coming with us. I think before then, we're going to have a very, very big announcement to make, like as big as it gets. And I won't tell you on what, but it's going to, and it's very positive. I'd tell you if it was negative or positive. I can't keep that out. It is really, really positive. And that announcement will be made either Thursday or Friday or Monday before we leave. But it'll be one of the most important announcements that have been made in many years about a certain subject, very important subject.
Now, this is much more than the looming truce between the U.S. and the Houthi rebels out of Yemen that the president announced earlier today. So pay close attention to the White House this week because big things clearly are in the works. Now, unfortunately, this does not apply to Canada. Big things are not quite happening there, at least not yet. Canada just elected a far left-wing prime minister named Mark Carney. We will introduce you to Mr. Carney in only a moment. But first, let's set the stage. For months, President Trump has openly and pretty aggressively criticized the government of Canada. He frequently called on the country to become our 51st state. He mocked their old prime minister, Little Justin, as I affectionately refer to him, calling him Governor Trudeau, and even imposed heavy reciprocal tariffs against our neighbors to the north. And despite all of this, Canada's newly elected prime minister, in many ways forced to swallow his pride and travel to the White House and meet with the president. Here's a simple truth to our friends in Canada. And as the president did reiterate many times today, they are our friends from Canada. They will continue to be our friends. But Canada absolutely needs the United States for their very survival. As the president rightly pointed out, right to Carney's face, we don't really need them for anything. Take a look.
We don't really want cars from Canada. And we put tariffs on cars from Canada, and at a certain point, it won't make economic sense for Canada to build those cars. And we don't want steel from Canada because we're making our own steel, and we're having massive steel plants being built right now as we speak. We really don't want Canadian steel, and we don't want Canadian aluminum and various other things because we want to be able to do it ourselves. And there's no reason for us to be subsidizing Canada. Canada's a place that will have to be able to take care of itself economically. I assume they can. We protect Canada militarily, and we always will. We're going to, that's not a money thing. But we always will. But, it's not fair. But why are we subsidizing Canada $200 billion a year, or whatever the number might be? It's a very substantial number.
Now, President Trump is bluntly telling Canada what they need to hear. For years, they have sadly ripped us off unfairly. They don't make their required payments to NATO. They rely on us for their national defense. They put restrictions and tariffs and other taxes on American-made products while enjoying free access to our markets. In fact, almost 100% of their major businesses rely on you, American customers. They also often use our technology, our medical advancements, without adhering to the same patent laws. And yet their leaders have often whined and complained about everything we do while hurting our great American businesses, our industries. In fact, Canada's new far-left prime minister, he once threatened to seize capital from companies that do not advance Canada's climate radical agenda. Take a look.
We need to ultimately get to a point where every financial decision is taking climate change into account, the impact on the transition, and we actually drop the adjective sustainable because it's just what finance professionals do. On the risk side, we need the banks to look at the risks around the climate transition, which then flip to opportunities. On the opportunity side, it's really about looking for and at transition plans from all companies and backing those who are part of the solution and taking capital away from those who are part of the problem.
Now, in addition to using the climate crisis to impose government control over businesses, a.k.a. socialism, Carney is also a big fan of censorship. In fact, in April, he threatened America's social media platforms with a not-so-veiled shot at X. Take a look at this.
Large American online platforms have become seas of racism, misogyny, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and hate in all its forms. And they're being used by criminals to harm our children. My government will act.
Just to be clear, that there is no free speech in Canada. If you say or write something the government finds offensive or labels as misinformation, you can actually get arrested. Carney is offended by our freedom of speech. He seemingly wants to ban our social media platforms from his country and shut down all dissent. He wants to use the climate crisis hoax as an excuse to steal from our businesses and control their means of production inside of Canada. So the president is right to hold them accountable. Now, the great part of our friendship will absolutely continue. If needed, we will always defend Canada, but the free ride part, that part's over. It is time for Canada and their leaders to step down from their ivory towers and recognize some simple truths. We have leverage. We hold the cards. It would be nice if they would show maybe a little bit of gratitude and make a free and fair deal with the U.S. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.